Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we are going to look at 4 great decks, including what I think is the best deck in the game, and the deck with the very best stats in the game right now. We are going to begin, however, we gotta talk about Zoo. Zoo is having a bit of a moment again, as people have seemingly stopped playing around it. We're going to look at 2 Zoo lists. The first is from It's Guest Gaming. Guest is a longtime friend of the channel. He casts a lot of the Snap Judgments League games and is a phenomenal player. He used this to hit Infinite late in the season with a ridiculous win rate on his way there. Meanwhile, KX4N played a Zoo deck at the top of Infinite in the top 10, also to a completely insane win rate. KX4N's stats, however, are prior to the sudden resurgence and popularity of Destroy thanks to ATTUMA. So I think that we should be looking into running Kyra in the list, whereas Kyra is a card that I have very, very often just said, cut, run when you see Destroy. Well, with ATTUMA being the hot new thing for at least another day, then I think Kyra is needed, and then once Symbiote Spider-Man comes back, we'll see if Destroy is still as popular, and then we can revisit this version that lacks that card. I think Shadow King is an absolutely stellar add in that place. All right, you can find Guest Gaming at twitch.tv/itsguestgaming, and I'm going to tell everyone to make sure they check out the Twitch front page tomorrow, Tuesday, for a special tournament hosted by Guest on the Twitch front page with a giveaway of 5 season passes from me. I think Power On is also doing 5. There might be like 5 more. So if you want a season pass, that is an amazing place to go. Make sure you check out his Guest with his version of the list. Again, pre-infinite. But at this point in the season, pre-infinite is not a bot-heavy environment, is 29-7, 81%. Then KX4N in high infinite went 28-6, 82%. Zoo is again having a moment. It answers and just goes over the top of so much of what the meta is doing. I think Zoo is 1,000% worth playing. If I were trying to hit infinite or climb on the last couple days of the season, I would be 1,000% playing Zoo. I would be playing one of these lists. You can get to most replacements from mixing and matching. There's no high series card in all of them. Mockingbird and Gilgamesh are needed. However, you can sort of do without Marvel Boy if you needed to. You would then be adding Shadow King. You get the idea. You can mix and match to find your replacements here, but you do need Mockingbird and Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh going over the top is just so big in the meta right now. Gilgamesh, the big things aren't Iron Man decks, right, where that get to like 30 power. They're more in the low 20s power, and Gilgamesh matches 2 big things all by himself, taking you over the top, winning 1 lane. And that is just so hard to quantify as far as like what you could replace it with. There is nothing else that does that. The only thing that gets as big in the game is Ajax, and that's obviously a totally different build. All right, so this is the secret meta overlord, is what I think of Zoo right now. I think Zoo is the like baseline, really great meta deck, largely because most people aren't answering it. If they're answering it, they're answering it with sort of Killmongery stuff, and you can just shut that down with Kyra and beat it. So turn 1, you pick a 1. Honestly, it doesn't super matter. If you have Marvel Boy, you want to prioritize Squirrel Girl. Outside of that, you're just sort of picking whatever one. Turn 2 is Dazzler, and is better than 2 1s unless you're planning on Marvel Boy on 3. Turn 3, Marvel Boy is the best. That's over Shauna, over Kyra. Again, if they've dropped a Deadpool, all of a sudden Kyra shoots up that list of cards you want to play. Marvel Boy is a perfectly fine turn 4 play. After turn 4, I'm probably not playing Marvel Boy as much. That's more or less equal to Khazar, but please note, Guest doesn't even bother with Khazar. And those are better than Shauna, except unless you have Mockingbird. If you have Mockingbird and you need a cheap Mockingbird because you have a bunch of other expensive stuff, then all of a sudden Shauna shoots up that list as well. Turn 5 is Gilgamesh or a Blue Marvel. If you got a Marvel Boy out on 3 and you've gotten 4 or 5 different pumps, playing just a 15-16 power Gilgamesh early is perfectly fine. If you have the Khazar version, playing a Gilgamesh on 5 is often fine. If you played a bunch of 1s early, you're totally fine getting that out, and then using your last turn for other plays. And from there, you go into Mockingbird and Shadow King, or Gilgamesh in 1. And that's how you win the game. Like, this is just a ton of power. We're going to take one last look at both of these lists from Guest and KX4N. And, well, After that, we're going to do like a bunch of intro stuff, and then we're going to get to the deck that I think right now is the best in the game, and we're going to do a full guide for that one. One last look at the KX Forenzu. Again, stellar list. The key tech here is that this is running Shadow King. Shadow King is the key tech piece in this one, and the guest gaming one, where the key tech piece is Kyara. Kyara, I think, is really, really stellar in this meta. I'd personally probably be running Kyara and cut Copycat for Shadow King myself right now, but I'm not 100% sure that there's a wrong way to go about this. I think that this is just where you want to be if you're trying to hit infinite. Enjoy the zoo. And please, if you're enjoying this video and you enjoy all our videos, hit that sub button, leave a like and comment. We're trying to hit 15,000 by the end of the year. That's a big goal, and we need your help to get there. Your sub would mean the world. In return, we give you 7 days a week of videos here on the channel, 6 days a week of deck guides, and then 1 day a week of a giant podcast where we have some Marvel Snap's biggest names. If you check this Saturday's video, we had the great Regis Kildman along with Spider Jess to talk about all the data mines and all the OTA changes. So if you're interested, please check that out. I don't think you'll be sad to do so. Hopefully you find value in the content, and if you do, you hit sub. Help us fight that YouTube algorithm and get more people to watch. And we give away 15 season passes by the end of the season. This season, I think we're giving away 18. Whatever, we give away a crap ton of season passes, 5 before the season starts, 5 as the season starts. All you got to do is sub. At some point in this video, I'm going to ask a question. You answer that question in the comments of the video. I will pick a winner from the people who answered the question who are subbed. That's it. We did that all last week. We're doing that all this week, every single video. If you watch, you're subbed, you like, and you leave that specific comment, you're entered to win the season pass. Nice and simple, right? Hopefully you're interested. If you're interested in more information about Symbiote Spider-Man or all the spotlights for this month, I've had multiple people reach out. It's getting rave reviews. I don't usually do full spotlight guides, but I released both of those yesterday, both a Symbiote Spider-Man review and a full month spotlight guide, so you can plan what to do with your keys yesterday. Those season pass giveaways are still open, by the way. If you watch those, there is a question for you to answer for a season pass. I'm going to announce those 2 winners tomorrow, but the winners for the last week, I got home on Wednesday, so Wednesday's video, Thursday's video, Friday's video, are Andrew Lynn, Ryan Bolthius, and Pebble4694. Please email me, snapjudgmentspodcast@gmail.com, snapjudgepod on Twitter, or Pulse Glazer on Discord. Find me on any of those in order to claim your season pass. I'll tell you what to do to prove you're you and yada yada, so on. All right. So we also host a giant tournament of $500 in prizes. The only caveat is you have to be at least a $1 Patreon, which gets you a deck archive, which gets you access to all of our tournaments, not just the Snap Judgments League. Winners of pods of 30 in that tournament get season passes. So there's all sorts of good stuff. If you're interested in checking out the Snap Judgments League, please do so. You have until Friday to sign up. Cool. Let's get to what I think the best deck in the game is. This is Barzy's Token Idiots. So, Barzy sent me this list last week, and I played it, and I was like, oh god, I gotta feature this. But Friday's video was already basically done, and then Sunday's video was all the new season stuff. We got one more new season video coming tomorrow. But Friday's video was most of the new season stuff for you, right? So we've got Barzy's Token Idiots then, and I'm like, when am I going to feature this? So I decided to clear Monday. We did the guest thing, because, like, guest deck is insane, and then this is what we have to cover, because this is, I think, the best deck in Marvel Snap. Then our friend FaThorNewman, Gnome played this, right? Gnome plays one of the top 30-ish in the world right now, played this to like a 65% win rate. FaThorNewman pulled it off his Twitter, played it to like a 65% win rate. This is one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. It's got a 60% win rate in fundamentally everyone's hands at all levels of Marvel Snap. I know that's not 80% like the Zood list, but the Zoo list was catching everyone off guard. This is it. This is what you want to do right now, in my opinion. There's a ton of Destroy in the meta, so you get the free wins off Armor and Cosmo, and then there's just a bajillion other plays with this. This is the strongest list in Marvel Snap. You can find Barzy at twitch.tv/Barzy. There are 8 Ys there. I'm not going to make you count, I promise. There's 8 Ys there, so that's how you find Barzy. Barzy is currently ranked last I checked a few hours ago, ranked number 2 in the world, particularly with this list. He climbed from number 5 to number 2 with this list, and he was quite a bit behind in number 5 when he started playing it. Hydra Bob and Nico are just nice cards. If I were replacing them, it would be Nightcrawler and Iceman. Nico's a little better than just a nice card, right? The Demon on a Mysterio clone is great. The draw 2 on a Mysterio clone is amazing. The turn a Hydra Bob into a draw, or whatever other nonsense you can do. Turn Squirrel into Demon is really great. All that stuff is stellar, but like they're still replaceable. Cull Obsidian can be Crossbones here. As Gnome is playing it, Marvel Boy or Shadow King. I've really, really liked Marvel Boy. There are times it's a dead card where you just don't see the ones, but if you do see the ones, it adds just another like 14 power to your board, right? Like that's crazy. Sasquatch, Mockingbird, and Scar are needed cards. I know those aren't cards everyone has, but both Mockingbird and Scar are cards in spotlights this week, so I would suggest aiming for them. If you don't have Sasquatch, I guess you could try running Crossbones for there, but then you need Cull, and now we're like just short a 10 power card. So if there's some other 10 that you can think of that would fit there, please feel free to add it. But you want a 10 that you can play before turn 6 is your real goal here. All right, our question of the day is, so we're gonna do question of the day, then we're gonna do a card by card. Actually, I had a question of the day in advance, and I'm sort of freezing right now on what it was. Oopsie. Our question of the day is, how do you feel about the ATTUMA change? Do you feel like Second Dinner is getting enough credit right now? So the way I phrased this in the podcast, if you check it out, is Second Dinner sort of took Beast away or made a free-to-play card like Beast worse, in order to really sell us on a card next month, that 2/1 next month, or to sell us a card that they're selling us in Black Swan, which is a 3/5 that's going to become an activate for its ability. They got to change the cost of that card. If they don't change the cost of that card, again, I'm convinced Black Swan's going to be going to be bad. So I'm going to remain convinced that they're actually going to change Black Swan's cost so that it's not a terrible card still. Because if you activate Black Swan on 5, then it won't work on... If you play Black Swan on 5, you can't activate it until turn 6, and then it doesn't do anything, which just seems terrible, right? So they have to change it. They can't just be like, you can play this on only turn 3 and turn 4, or it's dead. So just fingers crossed, that's a 2. Whatever, that's not the point. The point is, they made Beast worse for cards that they sell us, like Black Swan, like the Coming Scorn. And that's terrible, right? Like, everyone agrees that it's obnoxious when they make free cards worse so that they can sell us cards. However, they also gave us a brand new card in ATTUMA. ATTUMA was not a card that would ever see play. It was not a card that did something, and now ATTUMA is in an absolute ton of decks like this. How do you feel these things balance out? How do you feel about ATTUMA? How do you feel about how Second Dinner is sort of like giving us a free card while also taking away cards? What's the balance, do you think? Where do you land on this issue right now? Cool. Let's go card by card with this really cool deck to go over the uses for everything. Nico Minoru is an incredible card here. The +2 is perfectly fine. It is not a requirement, but it is nice. You're not sad to make a Mysterio clone have 2 power. You're not sad to give basically anything an extra couple of power, right? That is just useful. Be careful not to give ATTUMA 2 power, because ATTUMA kills stuff with less power than it. So if you get ATTUMA to 12, it might kill your Cull Obsidian or Mockingbird or Sasquatch or Scar, and that would make you sad, right? Outside of that, that is a generally good play. The draw 2 is amazing. You will happily sacrifice any other one for the draw 2, or a Mysterio clone without any hesitation for the draw 2. There have been games where I sacrifice Mysterio for the draw 2 when I just need something. You're perfectly, completely fine to do that. Mysterio clone and Squirrel Girl are obviously your 2 key hits there. Make sure you're not doing that in armor, you'll be sad. Demon, same exact thing as far as Mysterio clone and Squirrel Girl go. Don't be afraid to turn Marvel Boy into a demon if Nico is your only 1-drop, especially if you have Cull Obsidian. That'll give you an extra way to play Cull Obsidian. Squirrel Girl is here because it lets you play Cull everywhere, and with Marvel Boy, it creates 14 power. That's a ton, right? Like, just a 14 power when you're dropping so much other power elsewhere in the game is game-winning. Hydra Bob is the card I'm torn about here. Hydra Bob is just the biggest safe one, except that you sort of fill all your spots, so if your opponent snaps, and you've done a Squirrel Girl and Mysterio thing, you're very prone to clog because of Hydra Bob. Hydra Bob can be good, but is also dangerous. Be forewarned, it genuinely might just be better as Nightcrawler here. Armor is amazing. You're running a bunch of 10 power stuff, right? You've got your ATTUMA, your Cull, your Mockingbird, your Sasquatch, and your Scar. Armor says they are safe from Shang-Chi. That's nice and simple. The other thing Armor says is I don't have to worry about ATTUMA eating my sweet Marvel Boy stuff. And that's pretty damn good too. Remember that Cosmo will not protect from that, but Armor will, and that's valuable. Alright, Mysterio is here for Mockingbird and Sasquatch. If you can go Mysterio on 2 into Sasquatch on 3, that's a snap condition. You're just so far ahead at that point from that Mysterio. At that point, remember, you don't have to immediately play Mockingbird. Mockingbird will remain small, especially if you get a demon or certain locations end up giving you things for, or squirrels or whatever. Certain things will make Mockingbird even cheaper, so you can hold that. Don't necessarily Mysterio into Mockingbird, but Mysterio into Sasquatch is an absolutely incredible play. Also note, if you can Mysterio and play another card on turn 4, that's 4 plays. That's going to make your Sasquatch 2, and that'll make your Mockingbird 3, so you can play Sasquatch and Mockingbird together on turn 5 as well. Mysterio is a key card to the deck for these reasons. Marvel Boy's here largely for Squirrel Girl, but there's enough bullshit in the meta, there's enough bullshit in locations, that Marvel Boy just turns negatives into positives. You'll occasionally get hit with like the -2 from Kate Bishop. Marvel Boy will turn that into a 0 by the end of the game, and that just makes your power go further. Making your power go further is incredible. I really like Marvel Boy here. If you don't have Marvel Boy, Shadow King is fine. You won't have any other power buffs, right? Really, except Nico's +2, so you're not losing anything from Shadow King, and you can Shadow King and Scar to end the game perfectly effectively. Cosmo is here as a turn off your crap. Again, this is Shang-Chi protection, but this is also something you could use offensively. I'm seeing a lot of Wong in the meta. Being able to just drop a Cosmo there over almost anything else is game winning. Being able to, and you should have Prio with this list, so that's perfectly safe. Being able to stop Surfer nonsense, being able to stop Goliath nonsense in whatever lane you want. All around, these are very powerful things. ATTUMA is here just because it's 10. That's all it is. It's a 10 here. This deck probably should have existed with Crossbones. ATTUMA's a little better, largely because we got a lot of junk in the meta, so I'm fairly often just sort of sticking ATTUMA alone and saying I'll just play other big stuff there later and letting my small stuff go elsewhere, and letting ATTUMA be like, okay, so this is the lane you put your Widow's Kiss in. No, you didn't. This is the lane you put X in. No, you didn't. And ATTUMA is really great in that situation. Also, this deck is prone to clog, so you can occasionally use ATTUMA to get rid of some cloggy nonsense in order to help you with that. Cull's big. You got some ones. You play Cull. Nothing really complicated there, right? We've already sort of discussed Mockingbird. Mockingbird is if you just get Squirrel Girl out, a 4/10, which is the equivalent to ATTUMA or Cull. If you get Mysterio out, it's a 3/10, and now it's better. If you get both out, it's a 1/10. If you get both out and Nico's turned something to a demon or a location or a Widow's Kiss, it's now a 0/10. Mockingbird is one of the best cards in the game. It is in Spotlights tomorrow. Make sure you own Mockingbird. Sasquatch is a bit complicated. It's very rarely great unless you get it on 3 or 5. If you can Mysterio Sasquatch on 5, you're very happy. If you can Mysterio on 4 with another card into Sasquatch on 5, you're pretty happy. And if you can Mysterio on 2 and Sasquatch on 3, you're pretty happy. Either of those are basically what Sasquatch is here for. Outside of that, the only other way you really play Sasquatch is sometimes you don't really have anything to do on 5, and you'll have just played like a Cull on 4, and Sasquatch costs 5 on 5, and you're perfectly fine to drop that. Scar is the key to the deck, if there could be said to be one outside of Mockingbird, in that you're playing at least 2 10s before Scar's turn, which makes Scar a 2/11, and a 2/11 that can be played with either ATTUMA or Cull Obsidian. 21 power to end the game is a lot, and since you can spread it how you want, and you've dropped a bunch of other 10 power stuff, you should be able to win the game of Marvel Snap. You can also feel free to Scar with Armor or Cosmo in order to win. Scar with Armor, Cosmo, and Hydra Bob is also perfectly freaking acceptable in terms of dominating opponents. There's a lot of ways to win. This is a very powerful list. I hope you have Scar. Because if you have Scar and Mockingbird, I think you can probably figure out how to work this through without Sasquatch. Although, again, I am short an idea. Okay, so this is the number 2 ranked deck with a 60+% win rate. Here's the play pattern. So you start with Squirrel Girl over Bob over Nico. Turn 2 is Mysterio, particularly if you have Sasquatch. If you don't have Sasquatch and you don't have a good 4, you might want to save Mysterio to 4. That's perfectly fine too. Sasquatch on 3, if you can, is better than Marvel Boy if you have 1, and if you don't have any of that stuff going, just drop a Cosmo and be fine. Turn 4 is whichever 4/10 you can. or you can do the Mysterio plus another card play. It's also perfectly fine. Mysterio and Bob here, Mysterio and Nico, etc. Turn 5 is ideally Mockingbird and Armor or Mysterio. You can do Mockingbird and Sasquatch here. You can just do Sasquatch here if you played a single card. I know those are fine. And then turn 6 is Scar plus whatever you can. That's how you play this list. We're going to talk a bit about the stream team, and then we're going to do a bundle review and talk about a awesome surprise home for ATTUMA. So we've got one last look at this. Again, this is my opinion, the best position deck in the metagame. The meta is full of sort of mid-rangey nonsense like Darkhawk decks that are just, they'll discard a card, but you'll be fine. And it's full of destroy. And this deck just sort of handles both of those. Your opponent in your zoo matchups are playing a bunch of like 3 and 4 power cards, and you're playing a bunch of 10 power cards. This is just super well positioned, one of the best decks in all of Marvel Snap. Try it out. If you're also interested in gameplay for these, please check out the stream team. Today, the great Gregor2424 will be streaming games from this video, and the King of Canada should have some games from yesterday's decks. So if you're interested in that, please do watch. Cool. Next up, hey, Gregor2424, we just talked about him. He has ATTUMA's junk. We've all seen the ATTUMA Nimrod list. We featured a Nimrod list in Friday's video that you can easily put ATTUMA into. So where else can we use ATTUMA besides that idiot's deck? Well, how about here? This is a junk list that makes amazing use of ATTUMA. You're using ATTUMA basically to say, like, your opponent's going to assume that you're going to do X, Y, or Z to get rid of like your Hood and your Demon. You're going to play Lady Deathstrike. You're going to do this. Instead, you're just adding 10 power, and that's insanely strong, right? They're trying to clog with some little bullshit, and you're playing ATTUMA and just going over the top. That's one way you can use that card. The other way is there's a ton of junk in the meta, so you can just answer it that way as well. You also have Cersei as a way to get rid of all that similar nonsense for an extremely powerful turn of the game. This list is really good. I think junk is really strong, and I think ATTUMA is a very interesting and powerful addition to the build. Alright, so you can find Gregor at youtube.com/Gregor2424. It's the same thing on Twitch, but I'd like to see some more people subscribe to his YouTube, so please do me a favor, go support our friend. Alright, so Ravonna is required here. Jeff can be Kate, Baron Mordo, or Cable. Cersei, you can try Annihilus. It's a little worse, but you're fine. Red Hulk can be Magneto or Alioth. And I want to fit Mockingbird any Cersei deck, more or less, but I couldn't figure out how for this one. So, again, goes up to Gregor. Turn 1 is Hood. Turn 2, Ravonna over Widow over Jeff. Turn 3 is Goblin or Viper. Feel free to Viper over that Hood when you can. Turn 4, if you've got a Ravonna out, you can Hobgoblin early. Please do so. If not, Sentry is better than a 3. If you've got that Void, you can either Cersei it or drop ATTUMA there. Either one is perfectly fine. And then you end with Shang, Cersei, or Red Hulk, whatever wins the game. Odds are your opponent has run away at that point, though, because this deck is a giant pain in the ass. Very powerful deck, very cool, and very worth taking a look at. We're going to look right after one last look at this one at a very strong bounce move list that I'm really excited for in the lead up to the next 2 weeks' cards. But first, I want to talk about Mechanized Mayhem, this Ironheart bundle. This is a good buy. It's not the best buy that's ever bought, but it is a good buy. 1,500 credits for $8.99 is a good deal. Like, it's not, again, not the best deal they've ever given us. But so 170% is what most bundles are. That's where it's okay to buy a bundle, I think, for progression. And 200% is great. So 193.9 is okay. You're perfectly fine buying this if that's a thing you would be interested. If like you're looking to spend money and you're looking to spend a low amount, you'll get a decent amount of credits and a pretty cool variant. All right, Fowler Snaps. He called this RIP Beast. I'm excited for this list because, well, check yesterday's video for what these cards do. But Aranya is coming, and so is Madame Web, and they're both going to make move go through the roof. And I've got White Widow and Kate to cut from this list without any hesitation, so I think that this is going to be amazing. I'm very, very excited for this list with those cards in particular. I think that this is going to be an amazing place to start. I think the Iron Man here is really inspired. I don't know how I feel about the Shang-Chi, but I think the Iron Man here is really inspired because it means I don't have to go completely off. Basically, like, it's an extra double on Human Torch, right? If I get Human Torch in the Iron Man lane, guess what? It's already doubled. This deck can struggle to destroy, so if your meta is all destroy, you might not want to play it, but outside of that, it is really, really good. All right, you can find Fazer on twitter.com/Fazer_snap. It'd be nice if he ever streamed, but hey, what are you going to do? Fazer, get it together. Kate, Herc, Monkey, and Ghost Spider are all needed for this list. Ghost Spider can be Aranya once Aranya comes out. I'm curious if Monkey can be Werewolf. I don't think so because of when it's played. Kate is needed until Aranya or Madame Web come, and Herc is needed because he means you need one less move. White Widow can be Jeff or Cable. Nice and simple. All right. This doesn't have a huge sample yet, but it's got a 70% win rate, and Fazer is climbing thousands of ranks with it. So turn 1, you generally pass. Turn 2 is Fist or Ghost Spider with Torch. You can also feel free to Kate or Widow. If you've got cards to play, you can Kate as long as you're not clogging your hand. If you're going to clog your hand, you just Widow. And, count. You can have 7 in hand. Make sure that you're good. Turn 3, I generally speaking would like to drop Hercules. If I can't Hercules, I'm setting up a move. Turn 4, I'd really like to get a move on Herc because that's a double move. Turn 5, you're either bouncing the movers or you're getting Iron Man in a nice comfy spot where you know you can get some power to end the game. And then turn 6 is either replay movers or you play a second mover and Monkey. Got it? So like you've got a reasonably powered lane, then you play a second mover for some extra power, you drop Monkey, you get like an 8 power, 10 power Monkey, and you're perfectly happy and ready to go. Really simple, really effective, very powerful. Again, this deck is going to go through the frickin' roof in terms of power once it gets one more piece that's coming in a week. So I think that this is a list. I'm sort of preemptively giving you this so you can save it and make sure you're ready. But if you want to get some practice in and have some fun with a really strong list, feel free to play Rip Beast from our friend Fazer Snap. Questions of the day. Our first question is from the King of Questions, Heretics Lee, who wants to know if there are any decks to teach snapping and retreating, and I think Zoo is a perfect deck for that. That's why I decided to answer this today. So Zoo is a deck that you should be able to know whether you should snap or not. If you know the meta, right? Like, you must know the meta to know snapping and retreating. I played earlier with Johnny Be Good, and I would see like 2 cards and be like, okay, so this deck runs this and doesn't run that. This deck runs this and doesn't run that. And like, that's really useful, right? That's useful for everything except against arishem, at least. So if you can figure out what decks you're playing, that's step 1, right? If you are having trouble doing that, I've given this advice before, but what I would suggest you do is I would suggest you pull up the Marvel Snap Zone tier list or whatever tier list you prefer. I'm partial to Den's, the Marvel Snap Zone tier list, and as you're playing Marvel Snap games, guess what deck it is after the first 2 turns. As you get good at that, guess what? Start knowing what's in those decks. And then when the meta changes, you're not memorizing a million decks anymore. You're only memorizing 1 or 2 new ones at a time. So, Heretics Lee wants... so if you're playing Zoo, you should have some idea of the power output of your deck in different games once you've played a few games with it. Then you just start counting. They can put X power here based on turn 3. They can put X power here based on turn 4. I've got this in hand and likely to draw one of these 2 cards. I can put 24 power here, they can put 23 power here, I should snap. See what I mean? Or I can only put 23, I can only put 20 power here, but I think they can maybe put 22. I'm not 100% sure. That's not a snap, that's a stay. But if they can definitely put 30 here and I can only put 20 here, now we're looking at a retreat. See what I mean? I think Zoo is absolutely perfect for snapping retreating. Fire Troll asked for an example of a healthy meta, and we're in one. I think a healthy meta is largely one where gameplay matters as much as deck, or at least that's my personal perspective of it. If a lot of different things should be valid, and a lot of different things should be you should be able to win or lose with based on skill, there shouldn't be a bajillion auto loss matches. That is my idea of a healthy meta. I think we are currently in a healthy meta, like very much so. I think honestly, even the 3-5 Loki meta of last week was still healthy. The pre-meta before that wasn't exactly great, but that I think the last couple metas have been really healthy. Ryan Wood asked about the older shirt I own. I didn't go dig it out. I meant to go dig it out, and then I'm recording this really, really late at night instead of much earlier like I planned to. Sorry, Woody. So the oldest shirt I own, the Packers won the Super Bowl in like 1996, and I have a shirt from that. I believe that's the oldest shirt I own. I think that shirt is a year older than the second oldest shirt I own, which is so Allen Iverson's rookie year. I remember this because he was specifically at Summer League. I don't know why the number one pick was at Summer League, and he played like a maniac, throwing his body all over the place. Was always a fan of his from doing that. We waited by the bus to wave at all the players, say bye. My father ended up striking up conversation with Dennis Johnson. Yeah, like Hall of Famer Dennis Johnson. We chatted with Dennis Johnson for a while. Dennis Johnson went on the bus, grabbed us a shirt, and brought it back. And I still have that shirt. I still wear that shirt sometimes, like to work. It's just like a little polo with a champ thing. It's nothing fancy, but it's from fucking Dennis Johnson, which is pretty cool. And Corey asked about bicycle parking in America. No, America doesn't do things that are good for the environment. We just shame each other. All right, that's it for question of the day. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'm going to say thank you to a whole bunch of people now. If you're interested in checking out Patreon, please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. I think we are the best Patreon in all of Marvel Snap. So if you're looking to, like, if you're the type of person who subs to Twitch channels, I think you'll get just as much from subbing to our Patreon, if not more, than you would from any Twitch sub. Alright, so I'd like to say thank you to Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, Irregardless, David G. Wingfield. David, thank you for supporting for so long. Direwolf, LAB, who's always kind. FaThorNewman, who we mentioned earlier. Good Dog Gamer, who's got a deck we're featuring soon. Deuce Volt, Inc., I Am Frostman, you sure are. Jay Never Eats, Corwin, hey Corwin. Prime Brian, my friend, you have a message from me. Ryan Burke, the King of Questions, Caretix Lee. Koire, who I tried on the Alliances, Koire, I promise. Black Dahlia, Pyrophoros, The Goat Seeker, Denman Falcon, Quid Pro Joe, the King of New Marvel Snap Card Content, Docty, Fat Nerd, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, hey Ratko, hope you're enjoying your break. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza, X-Force V, and Skippy G. Winner of Snapjudgments League Season 1 Tommy Nyquist, King of Bros, Brock, The Grey Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, hello Jess, Woody, Pepsi Hoda, Luna Chris, Quantum Quinn, John Q, Clam, 8th Sage, Mod, Supreme, Models, Darth Tater, the one and only, Joe P, not Joe K, Joe P, get it, Joe K, Joe, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B, J.D. McDaldino, The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrum X, Woot, Matt H, DJ Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Greg Sterry, Seamus, Jonesy, Two Ties, my alliance leader, the great Lauren Wodev, who's got an amazing podcast for you to check out, the Pirate King Tuccrr, the Homie Man, and of course Gunning T, where the T stands for. Right below me is that video yesterday with those spotlight guides that I kept telling you about. So please check that out. I'd really appreciate it if you did so. And I will see you tomorrow for another Snap Take where we're going to announce 2 more winners from yesterday's videos. Don't forget that today's video has a giveaway in it as well. Bye!